Well, good morning, everyone. It's James Wassam, your tech wrangler here at Dunrovin Ranch. And yeah, we've got a beautiful Wednesday morning here for you. It's beautiful if you like freezing rain on the ground. Pretty amazing. Nice and slick out here. So yeah, it's been definitely some interesting weather lately. So I actually came out to start the broadcast, and Boona's out and about somewhere taking a look around. I'm trying to keep track of her here because I don't want her going next door to the neighbor's house. She likes to go and find little tidbits around, and she's made a habit of going into the neighbors and getting a little too cozy in their dining room. So anyway, yeah, she's around here somewhere. But I'm walking out here to the ice sculpture. I think that's where the camera should be pointed. Howdy, everybody. Yeah, if you read the newsletter, you did see a little post in there about the ice sculpture and status for that. And yeah, we've got a frozen hose. That's no fun. So we're not going to be able to do too much with the water source at this point. I'm still trying to think of some clever ideas, but not sure what's going to happen just yet. So I'll keep you all posted. So anyway, lots of fun going on there. And we're going to go ahead and do a little camera tour for you here and see what we can see around the ranch. Well, Boona may be out exploring. We'll see if she comes back. She's also developed some sort of an allergy, and so I've been trying to keep her away from the neighbors so that she doesn't eat anything she's not supposed to. So, all kinds of fun. All right, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and connect to our backup nest cam. Here's a view from the nest, and we've got, as you can see, some light starting to come in. You might catch a little bit of that freezing rain, although it's tapered off a bit for the moment. And so it's yeah, it's a beautiful morning here. It is going to be overcast for much of the morning here, I think. It might clear up a little bit this afternoon. It is a little bit warmer today, but those warmer temperatures do kind of wreak havoc with the way the water thaws and freezes and whatever's on the road. So for those of you that are local and plan on driving about, today is a good day to do it slowly, for sure. So. Anyway, let's see here. I've got to focus on staying upright, too, while I'm walking around up there. I need some ice cleats, probably. Not a bad idea. Let's see if we can check out some other stuff down here. Looks like we've got our bench camera and got our traditional view of the bird feeders and everything there. Many of you have noticed we've had an owl around the area, and maybe even a couple owls. So we've been trying to capture as much of them as we can. And so we've actually ordered, and I should be receiving this week, some new night vision lights. They're nothing super fancy. They're infrared lights. It does cost us about a little over $100 plus the time and everything it takes to install. So it does take a little bit of money to put all these up, but the nice thing is that it does provide a lot of light in the area. So we're going to try to enhance the lighting at the bench just a little bit and see if we can capture some more images of the owls that have been visiting the bench. And, you know, if money wasn't an issue, we might have infrared lights all over the place. But it does take some time to think through where you put those lights, you know, making sure they're maintained. They do have a lifespan, you know, especially because they're in the harsh elements and stuff. The lights do degrade over time. Each of those large rectangular lights has over 100 little light emitting diodes, LEDs, and so those actually do go out at times. So sometimes you can look up at the light and see only a few of the LEDs working. So that's something to pay attention to for sure. And there's Buna coming on back, so we'll go ahead and put her back in the office where I can keep track of her. It looks like she just kind of went down towards maybe the dance hall area. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and open up our river camera here. I always like showcasing the river camera during our morning tours and see what we see. I did just hear a gunshot down by the river, so that means there are some hunters somewhere either on our side of the river or across from the river. And as we can see, we actually see a little bit of motion on the left of your screen, and it does look like there's a hunter out there. It looks like they wrapped themselves in a white sheet for camouflage. I believe we did have a chance to hear that gunshot and see them. I don't know what they're hunting. I'm assuming ducks, but there is the ability to hunt geese as well. I don't know what the waterfowl season is, but yeah, it's we do get a lot of hunting action on the river here. We'll go ahead. We won't interrupt the privacy too much here for this hunter on the prowl, but you can see in the very middle of your screen a white clad individual there. Looks like a ghost. And they're just waiting there for some ducks to show themselves. And I don't know what all it takes to set up and hunt for ducks. A lot of times you see hunters like this behind a blind. So they build blinds and have all kinds of stuff put together. You can see some movement there. Hunter moves around under that sheet. But they build different blinds and then sit or hide behind those. You can see the hunter moving back into the woods there, the white sheet. Sometimes they do have a dog with them. And so you'll see the dog being used to retrieve the birds that are shot. And most of the time they're using dogs like Labrador retrievers. dogs that can swim really well and do a good job retrieving. The mouth of the dog that they choose is also important, because the dog shouldn't be crushing the prey as it brings it back. So it's important to train the dog properly, but also to have a dog with the right biology already in place. So given the hunting action going on down by the river and some of the other stuff, the activity there, I think we probably don't have a whole lot of animals moving about, especially with some of the recent gunshots. That normally keeps things still and quiet in the general area. And this time of year, as much as we'd like to walk around the river and the state land area, we've been avoiding some of the area, especially in the mornings when the hunters seem to be most active. We've been avoiding walking over that way because we don't want to disturb them, and they seem to be pretty regularly over there, so I think we'll continue avoiding that area for the time being. I need to take a look at the hunting regulations again and see what the season is, what to expect there. I was looking on the chat yesterday, and it looked like y'all caught some coyotes here on the Dunrovin beach. A pair of coyotes walking out here. It was pretty amazing. And I do appreciate the warning, of course, for taking Boona down there. As a rule, the coyotes have been running away from Boona and other dogs as they get closer. They're pretty skittish creatures and haven't seemed to be too terribly concerned about defending a certain piece of territory, maybe, unless we were getting close to a den. But yeah, it's always something good to be aware of. I definitely do not want to provoke a fight that could otherwise be avoided. This is the area in which we saw some swans, too. Suzanne put a note in the newsletter about the swans we're seeing at Dunrovin. They are trumpeter swans. And yeah, very, very cool to see some swans here at the ranch. The last couple mornings, we've seen some beautiful sunrises. Today, it's a beautiful sunrise. We're just not going to see much in the way of our colors and light refracting off the clouds and moisture in the air. So, but let's see. I think it was Monday. Super cold outside. There's a lot of fog, freezing fog. Just made for some gorgeous sunrise photo opportunities. So looks like the hunters moved around a bit. There's a big area back in there that's along the riverbank. Lots of different opportunities for the hunters to stake out their area. They can stake it out on both sides of that gravel bar and island area. There's the slough to the west and the river to the east. So ample opportunities depending on the type of waterfowl that you're after and what that waterfowl might be doing. You can see a lot of the ice in the river has been melting already. Of course, the temperatures being what they are, that's not entirely surprising. Looking over here at the thermometer, and it looks like our temperature readout is saying 30.9 degrees. And yeah, it's definitely warming up a bit. I think it is going to get up above freezing today. So, question in chat here, does Boona have an orange vest? Well, she does and she doesn't. She has an orange backpack we use when we go out hiking and take some food and water for her. She can carry her own, you know. She's a big dog now, so she has an orange backpack. Haven't really worried about the orange vest so much. During big game season, you know, it's something that, you know, we all pay attention to a little bit more. You know, during, you know, waterfowl season stuff, you know, wouldn't be impossible, but I would like to hope Boona would not be easily mistaken as a duck. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, we had, I don't know, Celia is mentioning a wrangler that had a big black dog that wore an orange vest. First year you watched. I don't know who that wrangler was. Levi was here a couple of years ago. He had his big Great Dane, and I don't know if he had a vest for Buddy or not. I can't remember. Twink says the goose season ends January 26th. Well, that's coming up in just 14 days, so that works out. Yeah, we'll just kind of keep tabs on things out there. Normally we expect some shooting over the weekends when people get out more, but some people take vacation or might not be working as much in the winter, especially if they're in construction or some of the other things that might be seasonal. So definitely get some activity. Well, let's pop on back to the ranch camera here in a minute and see what's happening around the ranch, shall we? All right, we can see the littles tracing trails in the snow here around the corral, and yeah, these are pretty well-worn paths straight to and from all of the food buckets. They leave no bucket unturned. Tell you what, they're looking for it. You also see our horses out here in the pasture. I think we've got Garnet and Jasper. They're here to be introduced to Banjo and Scout. Normally we leave them in this north pasture area for a time. That allows them to get acquainted with each other over the fence a little bit and then get introduced in person. Almost looked like Garnet had to sneeze just then. So did I. Maybe I was just, maybe it was a sympathetic sneeze. I don't know. Every time we've brought new horses from the herd over or back to Dunrovin here, they always stand at that far corner and look across because they've just been separated from the rest of their herd mates. Not uncommon. But when we force them to get together a little bit more with the new horses, and yeah, that changes the dynamics a little bit. Here's the rest of our herd over in the school land pasture that we lease. You can see the hay pile. We are making a dent in it. We've already removed one of the tarps. And then we have another tarp that's that ought to hold for another couple weeks, hopefully, before we have to start thinking about moving that around, probably through the end of the month at least. I have a feeling we're going to be moving some hay back here to the ranch. I'm not sure when the school is going to want to take over operations on their property and in preparation for building a new school building out there, but we're going to have to be prepared to bring some of that hay back to our barns, which we'll have room for. I had to do some fence repair out there on the other side of the hay pile. You can't see it right now, but the horses have been pushing their way through the barrier so that they can get at any little bit of exposed hay in that area. So I had to go and reinforce some things. And guess, just hazard a guess. Which two horses were the main offenders? Just guess. Any guesses? Which two horses were pushing through the fence, even breaking? They snapped one of my twisted steel wires to get to that hay pile and nibble on the edges, put a dent in it. Anything they could see. Type your guess in the chat. I'll give you a hint. You can see one of them on the camera right now. Been running around in that field feeding, and over the weekend when we got all that snow last week, we definitely were taking it easy driving around out in there because we didn't want to get stuck. The key is to keep moving, just keep moving. And fortunately the snow wasn't too deep, and then by the time it started to melt, pack down a little bit, it's a lot easier to drive on now. Yeah, so thanks for the guesses, Celia. You're correct with your last one. It was Lady Lanza and Augie. No surprise there. And it does look like, I'm just checking the chat here, it looks like we have a hawk that has visited the nest. So let's go ahead and take a look at the nest cam, see if we can zoom in on this hawk and check that out. At the upper reaches of where we can zoom on the camera. But there we go, there's the hawk. Try to adjust our focus here and get the right portion of this picture in focus. There we go, it's a little better. I don't know my hawks. What kind of hawk is this? Any ideas? Is this a sharp-shinned hawk? Has this been one of the hawks that's been visiting us regularly? Sir Sharpie? And have we identified if we've got a male or a female? I think we were considering one or the other. Apparently I need to read the newsletters more closely because I think that was mentioned a few weeks back on one of those. Yeah, there's some phenomenal viewing opportunities here. I don't know if you've all noticed on the bench cam, we have had several prey captures over there where hawks have either nabbed a pigeon or another bird. A bird of prey of some sort has secured another bird. And you can see the resulting drops on the ground and feathers, and it's pretty remarkable seeing nature in action there. Of course, these hawks here that visit the nest like this, they sit, watch, pretty still, watching for any of the little birds that'll make a move. I wonder what their preferred prey is. Is it other birds? Is it mice or other rodents? I suppose Sometimes they're rather equal opportunity hunters, but you do kind of wonder. Kind of a peaceful and serene setting there with the kind of foggy backdrop along the mountain, muted color tones here. And I would imagine with all that down and fluff under those feathers that are puffed up, he's got quite the insulation value there. I don't think he's feeling too cold whatsoever. I like how y'all have dubbed the nest the food truck. When the hawk shows up to the food truck. Yeah, it is a bit of a food truck or a smorgasbord here. Don't see a whole lot of movement here in that nest, that's for sure. When we saw the, what was the name of that little hawk that comes by, or is it a falcon? It's not the merlin, it's the kestrel, that's right, the kestrel. The kestrel came in last summer, or spring. We saw the kestrel dive into this nest. It was impressive. Of course, kestrels are small enough they can get in there, check things out. So there we go. We weren't skunked on today's outing about the ranch here in our sunrise tour. I'll leave the nest cam on that position. You can all watch the hawk for a bit. This is what it looks like from the backup nest camera. You can still see the hawk there, just barely on the far left of the screen. You can see a nice panoramic view. Look into the southeast. You can see the orb of light in that background just popping up, and the sun has officially risen here. The days are getting a little longer. We can notice that here, that's for sure. Sunset is at 5:10 this evening, and sunrise tomorrow will be at 8:18. So we're starting to gain a little more light each day. Well, I do appreciate you joining me on the sunrise tour here. It's been a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to another great day here. Nicole will be out to do some feeding chores pretty soon. Be able to follow some of the goings on around the ranch. I do want to remind you of our broadcast schedule. You can always catch up on previous broadcasts by going to the top of the webpage and tapping that videos tab. And that'll open up all our recent videos and broadcasts, including the videos we include in the newsletter. And you can also check out previous newsletters by tapping the newsletter navigation tab. We do have some changes coming to the camera viewing page as well. We're going to debut a new calendar display feature. It'll be all the same information, just look a little different. I think it'll be easier to navigate. We also will be releasing our 2022 wildlife viewing log, so you can log all the things that you see at the ranch. Primarily that's for the ospreys, but we capture a lot of other details too, and we always encourage you to keep track of what you're seeing. So I'll let you know more about that when that's released, probably in the next week or two. Twinks wants to know about ice sculpture, Frazzle and Ferdy. Well, let's, why don't we go take a look at the ice sculpture? Let's see where we're at with that. Go down to the activity yard, and there we are. Well, you can get the update straight from me, I guess. I had a little bit of a note in the newsletter for y'all, but we had a really good start to all this, and then had to turn the water off because it was getting too warm. And when we leave the water on and it's above freezing, or even a little even below 32 degrees, it will melt the ice faster than it makes it. So we turn the water off and wait for the temperatures to get cold enough and turn it back on. Well, turned it back on. This time the valve worked just fine. It wasn't frozen, so that was nice. But the rest of the hose was frozen because the heat tape that we applied to the hose gave out. This is the second year in a row in which it's done so, and it is not cheap. Just to get the heat tape, 100 feet of heat tape is about $100 to $150. Then you got to wrap it around the hose and tape it. So you go through about 2 or 3 rolls of tape. By the time it's all said and done, you factor in the time it takes to do it all. Yeah, it's a $300 process almost. And if you buy a hose with an integrated heat tape, guess how much that costs? About $300. So it's not a cheap thing, and to have to do it every single year gets a little bit spendy. So I don't know, maybe we need to start taking up donations or sponsorships for each annual ice sculpture. Somebody can sponsor the heated hose that needs to be used. In my direct experience with the heat tape over the last 3 years, and also with other reviews online of similar products, we can expect about 1 season worth of action out of a heated hose or heat tape. Anything more than that is completely bonus. So anyway, you're looking at the ice sculpture now. We've got Frazzle, the cowboy or cowgirl, and we've got Ferdy, short for Ferdinand, the bull here, the steer, the practice rope and steer. Anyway, I don't know. I think the lights worked out fairly well. The form factor here, so-so. It's tough with ice. It changes into all kinds of different shapes and sizes and, weird geometries here. But overall, I think I accomplished sort of what I set out to do. I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. Just for reference, that hose goes back here along the tree. You can see a little bit of that dark patch there where I uncovered the hose just to check it out, just to see if it was working. And really, that hose should have an exposed section. And it runs all the way back here to the spigot in the yard. And you can actually see where the section that is working. And it goes to about right here, right behind that fence post, if you can see it. You can see a little line of bare ground snaking back to where the spigot is. And that's the section where the heat tape is working. That section has been working for 3 years. But the other section, the longer bit, fails every single year. And that is no bueno. But you can see we've got that spigot wrapped in heat tape and insulation over the top of it. That section of hose is just fine. It's plenty pliable, thawed out. But as soon as you get to about where the hose goes under the fence and makes its way back to the ice sculpture, that is frozen solid all the way from that point up until it hits the sprinkler stem pipe that goes vertical. It's sad. It's really sad because, we don't get to spray water on this thing. So, I don't know. I guess I haven't given up completely, but it's just one of those things. So, we've got, I think the length of that hose is 100 feet. The hose itself is 100 feet. I think I've got a 15 or 20 foot heat tape section on the part that goes down to the valve, and then I've got another 85 feet that goes from the fence line up the sprinkler head and all of that. So that's kind of the idea there. But you know, if y'all are on the interwebs and doing some research and you find a heavy-duty heated hose or tape that's going to do the trick, let me know about it. We can research it and see if there's a better solution. But yeah, it's a curious dilemma. You know, if we didn't have these freeze and thaw cycles, we could keep the water on all the time, and what that would do would allow it to trickle out consistently and be able to work its way through. And if you keep the water running, as long as there's flow, it typically won't freeze too bad. But you do have to keep up on it. And for the sake of trying to maintain what ice we have, we do try to shut it on, turn it on and off appropriately. So there's the exhaustive story and details behind our 2022 ice sculpture. So thanks for humoring me a bit with that. And yeah, well, we'll see. We've still got a fair amount of winter left, and see how it goes. But there's always something new and exciting challenging us here at the ranch. So anyway, well, I've got to head in for another project and a meeting here on my calendar today. So thank you again for joining me for the Sunrise Tour. Feel free to drop a line in chat or leave a picture of anything interesting you see in the discussion board. And stay tuned for some new website updates coming your way shortly. And yeah, have a great rest of the week, everyone. Stay warm and keep watching. You never know what's going to happen. All right, so long.